right, we're back with episode 4. Episode 4?
Episode 4.
Episode 4. Wow. Who knew? Who knew we'd last this long
It's crazy.
of podcasting, JJ? We're back with episode 4. Be careful. JJ has got me wearing a wire.
Yep.
Just had to disclose that right now. We are wired in. I feel like I'm being like under investigation, or no, like in an undercover.
An interrogation?
Undercover for the cops.
Well, it's really an
interrogation. I feel like I'm going to go do like a drug bust or something.
Yeah, something's going on at this episode.
But besides that, let's actually introduce ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
because we've never officially got introduced ourselves. I'm Adam, or JJ might call me Sneaky because that's what my friends call me. Close friends. Sneaky in private, as the Honest Honkies would say. And I'm joined here.
I'm
today.
JJ, also Josiah,
Also Josiah.
but everybody calls me JJ.
Right. So, Adam and JJ here, back with the Screen Bros podcast. And we realized we did not go over that in the first 3 episodes of the podcast. So now you know the information that you are so desperately here for. But yeah, we got a pretty interesting lineup here today. You already seen our favorites. We already went over our favorites. And through each year, last episodes, and you've seen us talk about, childhood, growing up things, nostalgic things. But today, we really got what you really came for. The juice, the meat, the je ne sais quoi. I don't know what else to say, but JJ, we have some disagreements.
Yeah, we're not the same person. We have different ideas about movies.
Oddly enough, usually we are so similar. You see you go through the years, you see that we like most of the same movies and have them in the same spot. But we're not perfect.
No.
Screen Bros has its moments, and one of these moments is going to be today when we really take the gloves off and we go at it. Which I need to start with because we have always had a debate going through Letterboxd and going through with friends, a disagreement. And you see this disagreement online because I've seen other movie podcasts have this disagreement, but we specifically also have this disagreement. And that is, what are your thoughts on Cars 2, JJ?
Well, it's not great. It's actually bad. Cars 2 would have been the worst Cars if there wasn't a Cars 3. But I put them around the same area. What are your thoughts on Cars 2?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Cars 2 is the best Cars movie. And I'm going to get into that because, dude, it completely takes... Okay, so Cars 1, we can agree, is a classic.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's amazing. It goes through the Radiator Springs. You meet Lightning McQueen and Tow Mater. But, dude...
And then they take Cars 2 and destroy all of it.
No, bro.
Everything
Shut up.
Good.
Dude, when they go into the whole spy take with Mater and make Mater more of a... Like, it completely changed Mater's, character arc of, just a goofy comic relief, and then made him actually have depth. And then they actually, went into him, growing to be a person and, how he was treated versus all the other characters treated him. They treated him as, this, dumb person who never doesn't take anything seriously. And then he ends up saving the world and saving, the queen car.
Mm-hmm.
It's, why do you... I think it's the best Cars.
Well...
Plus the theme song. The down.
No.
that whole spy agent theme.
I don't remember anything.
Fire. Why do you think that is a bad movie, JJ?
Because there's a thing that people do when they make sequels where they just ruin everything by making the sequel. Because the first one is great, and then they forget what the first one's all about. And they're like, oh, we should make it more fun and more poppy and more explosions, more spies, more oil.
I'm not seeing a downside to this so far. I'm not seeing a downside.
It's like there was this nice Cars movie. It's a little town, Radiator Springs. They're all like family. There's a good story to it, and then they're like, it's like they took Michael Bay and were like, hey, can you direct a Cars movie for us?
Well, like, where were they really supposed to go? I mean, they kind of went that same direction in Cars
You don't
3.
always have to keep going.
They should have just cut off. They
You
should
can
have been
stop
done.
making movies.
Well, like, why? Because in the third one, I still think is good, but you don't like that one.
I just don't remember the third one.
I agreed. I don't.
It was more
I don't think
forgettable.
it's as good as the first two. So I think it does hold up. Doesn't hold up as well.
I feel like the third one they did that thing where they did with Obi-Wan Kenobi. The series where they were like
pass the baton kind of
pass
thing.
the baton. But wasn't he like
But I think
still
it
trying
makes
to
sense
race and
because
then he was like bitter and stuff? Lightning McQueen? Was that the thing?
well, he I think he still wanted to race, but he eventually came to terms with being a mentor. But I think that's like why it's good because they kind of he kind of settles into like a rock the what is it called the Hudson Hornet character.
Oh yeah.
The Doc or something. That's kind of like how he was, and so then that's why it was good. Is because he
Okay, fine, you convinced me. Cars 2 is the worst.
no okay no
Cars
okay.
1, Cars 3, Cars 2.
No, okay, that's not what my point was.
Good
That's
point.
not what my point was. I just think that they continued that, but they had a little fun with the second one, and they had made her be able to say, like, what do you say, "Dad gum"? He said, "Dad gum," and then she's like, starting up Gatling guns, and then like he just like tore up that whole office building. You don't remember that part?
I remember it, but
And then the Francesco Bernoulli guy.
the only thing that I can give to Cars 2 is that they kind of like show more Cars world, like the Cars bathrooms and
Yeah.
stuff. That's kind of fun, but
They had
I don't
the
know.
bit where they literally go. Mater discovers like pretty much like a Cars version of a. They made it like a Cars version of a. What's the thing on a toilet?
a bidet.
A bidet.
Yeah.
They had like a bidet in the restrooms, and he's like, "What does this button do?" And then like, that's just comedy, bro. That's just comedy. That's just good writing. Anyways,
that one part maybe.
why we also need to like debate and like stick up more for ourselves is because usually JJ and I will get into a debate about something, and then we will hinder our answers a little bit, and we'll start be like, yeah, you're kind of right. So the more movies we talk about, the more we kind of become on the same page on certain stuff.
Except for Cars 2. I don't know if we've ever.
Except for Cars 2, we're not going to back down apparently on this. But yeah, usually it would be like something, and I'll be like, that's not that great. But then JJ's like, well, this. I'm like, you're right.
Yeah, it goes that way a
So-
lot. I can convince you a movie's good
Yeah.
because
Like-
you don't see it properly.
Okay. Well, two-way street, brother. Two-way street. Anyways, besides that, and we're trying to like stick to our guns a little bit more. I think some of these things we're definitely going to stick to our guns a little bit more. But what do you want to go for next? What do you
Yeah. I'm thinking about. I'll give you one that we talked about a bunch. Which this I'm just more confused about than have a strong opinion. But you watched The Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah, we talked about The Breakfast Club.
You rated it 1/2 of 1 star.
Yeah,
That's
half
less
star.
than 1 star.
Yes, I gave it the lowest rating you can get because I think it is the most overrated 80s movie. The almost
That's
overrated.
the thing. We spent all like a majority of last episode talking about all the 80s movies we
Yeah.
love, and this is like one of the 80s movies.
Yeah.
And you watch it and you were like, this movie sucks.
This
movie's
is
terrible.
not part of the 80s trifecta. The 80s trifecta, we've decided that it is Back to the Future, it is a Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and it is Karate Kid.
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast Club is not even in the top 10 for me.
If you ask anybody about 80s movies,
I don't even think I've seen 10 80s movies. I don't think Breakfast Club will be in the top 10. But sorry, go ahead.
everybody thinks of Breakfast Club when they think of 80s movies. And for some reason you thought it was
Back to the
terrible.
Future, for sure. But I think they would list that on the list of 80s movies. But I can get into, like, why do you think Breakfast Club is good?
I didn't love it, but I thought it was fun. Like I do like movies where they're kind of stuck in one place and people just have to talk to each other.
Right.
And then they
you do like movies that will take place all in one spot.
Yeah.
I do kind of see that, but
I don't even think that's why I like the Breakfast Club. I think it's just because it's fun. It's just kids hanging out, and none of them like each other, and then by the end they all like each other. They bond over experiences, which is always a good story to tell.
whiny. One of the most whiny movies I've ever seen. Because these kids are all like, I don't think they have a lot of struggle. Like, I think they did list some struggles they have, but they didn't even seem like, they're not like, that's the kind of movie where you kind of realize you're like, man, there are starving kids in Africa, and these kids are all whining in a detention.
But that's every high school, though.
Well, I get how it could be like a good coming of age movie, but like, I don't know, for how and there's the crucial part is like, I like a lot of the like black actors in it, like I think Emilio Estevez as a kid is in it, and what's her name, Molly Ringwald. Okay, he doesn't know actors. Molly Ringwald is the girl who's in from 16 Candles.
Oh yeah, she's in it.
And then Emilio Estevez is the coach from Mighty Ducks.
Yeah. Do you think if you hadn't had a preconceived notion of the movie, like known that everybody loved it and it was one of the 80s movies, that you would like it more?
No, I think if I watched it when I was because I watched it not too long ago. I think I watched it in the loop of when we were starting the kick. We weren't like in our huge letterbox kick yet, but we were in the kick of like
watching big movies.
Like, yeah, we were like trying to watch more movies that we had not seen, like people would talk about,
like the classics.
That's kind of the reason that we kind of got into movies, is because people would make pop culture references to movies that we would not understand. Well, at least I'm speaking for both of us here, right?
Oh, that's a lot of it. I think it was just a slow, gradual thing.
I mean, we also have an appreciation, but I think it's also the factor of people making references to things that we're like, oh, like, what's that? And it's the curiosity that kind of like makes you think.
Yeah, for me, it was more like the VFX drew me into it, because I was into all that before movies. And then I was like, oh, maybe I would want to make a movie someday. If I want to make a movie someday, I probably have to watch all the good movies to know what a good movie is.
So true. That's, how I see it.
So that was the start of it.
Yeah. And what else was I going to say? Along with that, like, pop culture thing, it's kind of funny you mentioned this really quick. I did just watch Predator for the first time today.
Oh.
We're going to get into that later. Different podcast episode. But I finally watched the part where Arnold says, "Get in the chopper." And I was like, he said the thing. He said the thing. I was like, anyways, that was something that happened today, earlier on. But we'll talk about all of that series later on. We have to.
I'm just crossing out movies that we were to talk about.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, JJ's like, I see his point on that. No. So getting back to, what was it? Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
I just can't. I don't know. I think I did feel like that was one movie where it was all taking one place, and I just did not like it because it didn't go anywhere. Like they
I'm
kind
not
of go around the school, but
I'm not even surprised that you didn't like it. Just that you didn't like it that much. Like you rated it as low as you possibly could.
yeah, I just think maybe it's a little bit like out of vengeance of like, oh, they said I was gonna like it, you know. And the only scene that I like thought it was good was when he's walking out and he pumps his fist with the coat on. That's the scene.
Might be the only scene I don't. I feel like that part's so cheesy at the end.
well, the music's playing, and I see that everywhere I go because of following cinema.
Also, I think that's in Pitch Perfect. I think I saw it there first, so I knew about that thing. And I was like, oh, the thing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Thing that everybody likes.
I was waiting for that scene the whole entire movie because I was sitting and watching some whiny brat. Anyways.
What's another controversial movie?
I have to get in how you rated Drive 3 stars.
Okay.
You rated it very mediocre.
I have it on my list. You have it rated a half a star.
Yes, because it is so slow. I don't know why everybody. Okay, this movie is rated so people talk about this movie so much, and it is coded to have everything that I would like in a movie, but it is somehow Cars, Ryan Gosling. Stuntman, him as a stuntman, which we already saw in Fall Guy, newer movie, but anyways,
all the same things, but a movie that you liked.
Yeah, Cars, Ryan Gosling, stuntman, Baby Driver, pretty much simple. Same plot as Baby Driver, where he's a driver, getaway driver. It's Ryan Gosling again, like. It is something that I would like, but it's just I think that I was going in with the knowledge that it was compared to Baby Driver. Like everyone was like, "Oh, if you like Baby Driver, you'll like Drive." But then I think you yourself said that it's not as good.
It's definitely not as good.
Yeah.
That's why I have Baby Driver at like 5 stars and this one at 3, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think it's just this like. I admit that it's kind of slow and a little bit dry.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a reason to rate a movie super low.
Well, no, okay. The other reason is because I just do not like Ryan Gosling's character. I've debated this with other people too who like Drive, and they're like, but Ryan Gosling, he's playing such a new and original character that's like, he's so like cool and he's so like, I'm like, dude, he is like a psychopath. He is like he's just weird. He's just emo, super emo, and he's just like, maybe it's just we see him in so many funny roles.
Yeah.
But I also just don't think it fits him to play a character like this where he's like so brooding because it doesn't seem believable. If anything, he seems like he's got mental issues, which I know he kind of does because halfway through the movie he starts halfway through the movie he starts killing people. And
see, I don't remember the movie that much. I just remember like
I don't remember the movie that much. Rate it lower. Rate it lower, sir.
It's I remember being engaged in the movie, being like, "Oh, what's gonna happen?" I like the story of him like saving the random lady and the kid.
Yeah, doesn't like. I just they hype their relationship up only for the dad to come back, and then they kill him, and then he gets with the girl at the end, right? Doesn't he like try to force a move on her? Doesn't he try to like kiss her in an elevator? They do something weird, yeah, in the elevator.
Maybe
something is like forced or something like that, and it's like it's uncomfortable. Also, the movie's so slow. I watched it with Sean and Hannah, so it's not just me. We wanted to turn it off halfway through because it was just like so boring. And then we get to like, what was it? We got to there's some of the scenes with the action in it, and then it got a little bit better. But still, it felt so unnatural for him to be like, whenever he started killing people, where you're just like, this feels wrong.
I think one thing, like his role as a more stonewall in emotions, like he doesn't show all of his emotions kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's not comedic or anything. His comedic side is a newer thing. I think that started with like La La Land in 2016.
We can agree that one of his best movies is The Place Beyond the Pines.
Yeah.
That was original character. That was very different for him.
Well, I don't think it was really. I mean, that's more similar to Drive than it is to La La Land.
Yeah.
Like, that's more towards that. He has this other movie called something Nelson. He plays a teacher.
Yeah.
And that's the same kind of like more grungy characteristics than the comedic one. Like, all that stuff is newer. And I think that Drive was the role he played in there was actually fitting to the characters that he played at the time.
Oh, thank God he switched up his career. I think that he. Another thing was everybody loves the music. Everyone's like, the music's so good, and I'm like, it's like so edgy, and like, that was one of the things when we were watching it. I was like, the music sucks. It doesn't match the movie at all. It's like a weird, like kind of like city, like drug bust with the cartel. I don't know. He's with the getaway drivers, and then the music's like, oh. I don't remember exactly, but it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit right, and it's just. What do you think of Memento, JJ? I need to get off Drive.
Well, Memento is also a great movie. Well, it's better than Drive. I was looking at Drive. It has 3.9 stars, which is pretty high for a movie.
Drive does?
Yeah, the average is 3.9.
Overhyped. Go ahead. So Memento, Christopher Nolan, right?
Yeah, the guy who makes all the best movies.
Who makes all the bangers, but a lot of confusing bangers.
Yeah.
The ones that you need to watch a couple times. I've only seen Memento once.
Did you get Memento when you watched it? Or did you leave being like, I don't even know what happened? It seems like.
What were we talking about?
Memento.
Oh, Memento. What were you? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do this bit. Anyways, Memento is about a guy with short-term memory loss, and he's writing. It's a good plot. I honestly, maybe I just couldn't figure it out, and it's a Christopher Nolan movie I need to watch again. But I honestly, that's a little bit of a thing that I just don't like about Christopher Nolan movies. Sometimes it's just like. They're complex and they're meant to be well thought out, but sometimes I'm just like, I'm not watching this movie again. I just, what were you gonna say?
There's movies that you watch where you're like, I just want to be brain dead for an hour and a half and not have to think. But the movies that make you think, I usually end up with a higher rating for me.
For sure, I get that.
But then why not Memento? Like, I
felt like.
To me, it seems like you watched the movie while you were like doing something else and you didn't pay attention. That's what it.
No, because okay, I'll tell you why, and you're gonna
Wait,
say
I
do
remember
I'm gonna tell
this.
you why, and you're gonna realize why I have it really low. It's because I watched like half of it on a plane,
Mm-hmm.
and then I watched the other half on the plane ride home. So I didn't quite get it all at one time, but I still feel like I watched majority of it in one spot. But and I pretty much watched it in the with the memory that the guy has in the movie.
You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, but the point is just like he. I just think that besides that, the parts where it just kind of goes to black,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of scene kind of just feels like it's fades. I don't like how much fading there is in that movie. And this is a weird point, but I stick by this because it felt really inconsistent. It just felt like a little bit weird to me while watching the movie.
It definitely
But
seems like a film that someone made earlier.
It's very like monotone. It almost gives it a little bit of a noir. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It gives off a little bit of noir feel, which maybe I would have liked if I had more intel on that. But I just think at the time when I was watching it, I was like, it felt so, quiet, like a little bit like, what's this name mean? It probably is, who's Jefferson? Is this the lady that killed my wife?
Oh, right, because it's all like in his. He's talking in his head while he's writing it down.
In his
and stuff.
head, and it's very quiet. He's like, Jessica, this is the woman I met at the bar. All right, I'm gonna save that for later. He like took the pictures and he writes it down. It was good. It's just like when it would do that and then it just like would fade. I just felt like, man, this just. I mean, I was gonna say it feels like a bad dream, but that's kind of what he's going for,
Yeah, because you're describing the movie. I'm like that. That's why I like the movie. Yeah, that's the good part.
Hey, I guess.
I like the movies where it feels like you're going along the journey with the character, and that's what that movie feels like. You don't know anything off the start, and as you go on, you're like, oh wait, that's like this thing, and that's like this thing, and you're putting the movie together along with the main character, and it's like a more engaging way of watching a movie rather than just being like, oh, I bet he's gonna save the princess at the end.
I don't know, dude. I personally liked it when Nicolas Cage kidnapped the president. But another thing I was going to say was... about Memento. Oh, about Nolan. I just think along with that and along with Oppenheimer kind of being kind of visually a little bit like what is going on, why is this necessary, why are all of a sudden there this kind of scene in the middle of, do you know what I'm talking about? In the middle of them interrogating him, and why is Florence Pugh here? Along with the other scenes where it's just flashing lights. I guess it is nuclear reference, but not saying Oppenheimer was bad. I thought it was decent. But I'm just saying, along with Nolan's opinions, like Inception is a good thinking movie. Interstellar is somewhat of a good thinking movie, even though I would say that Interstellar is more of his direct movie.
And you watched Tenet?
Tenet, I have not seen yet.
Oh, okay.
But that's just because everyone says it's bad. Well, a lot of people don't say like it. And a lot of people say it's the most confusing one.
Yeah, but it almost feels the most well put together in a way. Like it's... there's things, they're so complicated, and you're like, I got to figure this out. And the more you think about it, you're like, it kind of makes sense, but I still don't understand it. That happens like every single time. I've watched it 3 times now.
Dang.
And you think you start getting it, and then you're like, well, wait, what about this?
My brother's point on Tenet is he thinks that the audio is messed up.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
almost like the voices. He thinks that all the dialogue is like turned down.
Yeah, that's a common Christopher Nolan thing for some random reason.
I think I see that too. Kind of an Inception a little bit,
Yeah,
but I get that.
yeah, it's weird. He has a lot of exposition parts in his movies where someone's just explaining the thing that happens, which you
Right.
kind of need in movies that are that confusing, because it's hard to visually show all the weird stuff that's happening. That's probably why, like in Memento, when he's saying it in his head, that kind of works well, because you don't feel like you're just being told exactly what's happening like you do when you just see a character explaining like, oh, and then this organization, which is also enemies with this guy and doing this mission, even though you're like, yeah, he would already know that. You're just saying that so the audience knows it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of movies that do that well, but right?
Yeah, I think Tenet is one of the ones where they do it poorly, and then they also like they do it a ton, and then they also make it so quiet you can't understand. There's a whole scene where they're like on a boat, and all you can hear is just like waves crashing by, and you're like, what are they saying?
Yeah.
I do know one reason why
heard
that
that.
would be is because Christopher Nolan
He's old. What did you say?
he scores his musics to and makes them in IMAX to be in theaters. So sound system in theaters are set up a certain way to play certain channels louder or on larger speakers, and your home audio might not have it. Your headphones probably wouldn't play the
Right.
same way.
Okay, that makes sense.
Same way with IMAX, like it's so massive, it's meant to go into your peripheral vision. So when you play that massive format on a tiny screen where you can see all of it, it just looks a little bit weird. Like there's a bunch of empty space. But
Yeah.
in a theater, that's supposed to be your peripheral vision.
Yeah. It's like when you're watching Madam Web on a Screen X and you see you see Jessica, what's her name? Jessica
Her name's Madam Web.
Dakota Johnson. That's what I was thinking of. Dakota Johnson, her on the screen, but then her arm just like is projected like down the side of the
It's like when you're trying to scale something in Photoshop and you don't hold shift and it just stretches the whole thing out sideways. It doesn't scale it properly. That's what Screen X is like.
This is a part where we're going to get into both movies that we think is bad. And everybody thinks this movie's bad. But Madam Web, when we saw Madam Web together, we saw it in Screen X. So that's where it's projected on the front screen. And then it's kind of projected on two side screens. So it kind of goes down the sideways. And you kind of have like a stretched res view
Yeah.
of the movie. And boy, what a movie to see on Screen X. A movie that's got 2 seconds of action. All the action is just her driving into people.
Yeah.
You not realize how many times they drove into people in that movie?
A lot of times.
They just ram a car through a wall or ram a car. Yeah.
It really
3 times. 2 or 3 times. That's
shows
all
the
the action.
true power of Madam Web.
Which is like what a way to show like feminist action. It's so depressing. Like, come on, you couldn't have had one of them with actual spider powers, like take down this guy. No, instead they all get killed, like in 3 different universes. And the only time they can fight about this guy is with like not brute force. It's like driving a car. Just, anyways,
Bad movie. That's not one we disagree on.
we don't disagree on that one. Go ahead. What else did you gonna?
This one's a
Thank you.
new one that I feel like we should talk about. We talked about it a little bit already, but Punch Drunk Love.
Well, you mean it's new because we both saw it recently.
Yeah, we both watched it recently.
It's not a new movie.
Not a new movie.
With Adam Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we had that too different. Like you
think
liked it more, but
Yeah, you had it at 2.5, which I guess is pretty close to my 3 or 3.5.
okay.
But it reminded me when you're talking about music that doesn't match the scene when you're talking about Drive. That reminded me of Punch Drunk Love, because it's almost like a musical where there's always music playing. and it's like to get you in a like you almost feel
I
stressful.
never realized that.
The whole movie feels stressful, and I think it's because of that.
Adam
music.
Sandler is either like I feel like he is in either like comedies or just movies that just stress you out.
That it did when I was watching that. It
That's what
reminded me
everybody
of,
says about Uncut Gems, and I've yet to see it. I'm trying to watch Uncut Gems.
It
It's
has
like
that
the top of my
same
list,
feel of Punch Drunk Love, where you're like,
yeah, I can get that. Then
there's so much happening, and you're taking in so much like information, and also it's a
my
little
real
bit
question
confusing.
was, why did he buy that much? What was it like?
Pudding.
Was it pudding?
Yeah,
Why did he
chocolate
buy
pudding.
them? It was for flyer miles.
Yeah, I still don't understand the piano.
I didn't get that. Yeah, I didn't get that bit.
Like it just
I
shows
didn't
up
get
off the
pudding
start.
bit.
I did like how it ended. How it was like, oh, he just went over and intimidated the guy. And just
That felt very Wes Anderson.
that was kind of fun. And then it was like Joe was just the
did
end
not
of the
feel
movie.
that interaction did not feel very Wes Anderson.
It kind of did. I think the shot is also pretty West. Like, it was kind of symmetrical.
We're not disagreeing anywhere here, JJ. You liked it a little bit more than me.
Yeah.
That's how it is sometimes. But I don't think we're getting anywhere with that disagreeing wise. Okay, I cannot believe, JJ, that you gave Holes 2 stars. What were you thinking, dude? What were you thinking? Holes? A masterpiece, I may say. Why is it 2 stars, JJ?
Sometimes you just watch a movie and you're like, I don't really feel good anymore. Or it's like, that was an icky movie. No, you have to sit down. No standing up and walking away. It's just, I don't know. There's a whole section of movies in my brain, ones that I don't like the feeling of it. It's not a certain storyline. It's just, it doesn't feel good to watch it. And I might feel differently about it. So if I watched it again, I might like it more.
We're not able to say that anymore. We've used up our. We've said that too many times in this podcast already. If we watch it again, we'll parlay. That's our compromise.
The other movie I had,
I do that too. So
like in that kind of movies that I didn't like or didn't make feel good was How the Grinch Stole Christmas. That was a movie I didn't like.
Why the live action one with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I didn't like it when I was a kid.
Oh, but you like it now.
I like it now. But also it's...
I get that, like, but liking movies when you get a little bit older because you like the vibe of it.
But I still don't...
With Avatar. PTSD. But no.
Yeah, I just didn't like it when I watched it. I haven't seen it.
It hurts. I just grew up watching that movie with all of them getting sent
Yeah, I
to
could tell with all the references.
Yeah, all the references. But keeping it 2 stars, man, it's rough, dude.
It's gonna stay there for a while.
It's like that's what I feel like that's the iconic role that I know Shia LaBeouf has, rather than Transformers or anything else, because he just Stanley Yelnats is the G. His name is the same way backwards as it is forwards, and it's such a clever movie. Like at the end when you realize that they're not getting bitten by the lizards because they ate the onions, and you're like, "Oh shoot, someone cooked here."
Does the start of the movie? Does he have like a wacky family?
Yeah, because she's trying to make candles or. She's trying to make something like odorless. She's trying to make odorless scents, or like an odorless like solution for feet.
It reminds me of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory a little bit, like the start of that with the Wacko family.
Which brings us into Willy Wonka, which you have rated 1.5 stars.
I think
JJ.
we already talked about Willy Wonka.
We
That goes
talked
in
about
the
it
same
enough.
category.
But you just do not like Willy Wonka.
I do not.
And I have rated it 4 stars because it's just a classic.
I don't like it. It's all creepy.
It's not creepy, bro.
He's weird.
It's just good vibes. It's just chocolate, bro.
Also, I don't think the candy looks good.
Candy looks phenomenal.
It does not look tasty.
It looks phenomenal. What were you gonna do? Is there one? Pick one that we actually disagree on, not just punch drunk love, JJ.
So
He's scared. Look at him. He's scared.
I just don't know how I'm supposed to. We talked about it so many times already.
What's that Trump clip? He's surprised. He's shocked that I picked her. She's shocked that I picked her. Look at her in shock.
The Marvel movie that came out during all the other bad movies that came out.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
We're talking about Shang-Chi.
Oh, what? No, what? Shang-Chi? I thought you were talking about Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Oh, we should talk about that one instead. Because that one is so much worse. Shang-Chi's like a middle ground. But Wakanda Forever is actually a bad movie.
Shang-Chi, I will admit, is a good middle ground movie. But I personally love it because the action is just awesome. They literally... Simu Liu did all of that. The scene with the bus. The part where he's just like crawling around the bus, dude. That's so fire. And the fact that
it still all looks like VFX-y though.
But he did that practical.
It doesn't matter
if
they just
makes
replace
it better.
it.
What?
Doesn't matter if they just replace it though.
What do you mean they replaced it? They replaced. I mean, yeah, obviously he's not on a actual bus, but they green screened and he's actually on a bus.
It doesn't look like it though. I still think they replaced a lot of the stuff.
Change your eyesight. Change your eyesight.
I think one of us has the good eyesight and can see the flaws.
Okay, I'm just because it looks like not practical doesn't change the fact that it's practical. I'm just saying, like,
fine.
You know, I thought in Deadpool and Wolverine that her bald head, Cassandra Nova's bald head, was CGI. It definitely looks CGI in some shots, but apparently she did shave her head for that movie. So that doesn't explain the fact that most of it was practical. So I have to give them that.
Well,
if they went through the effort to make it practical, we got to give them it.
Let's talk about Wakanda Forever. Because
okay.
I think I can give clear reasons why it's bad.
Okay, but I see the clear reasons why it's bad. Because I know I'm a Marvel fan. So, like, talking about Wakanda Forever is like...
Is it generally considered bad in the Marvel fan community?
Well, I think it's mediocre. Because I think, like, the fact that it's good is because it's like, what else were they possibly supposed to... I mean, you're going to say not make the movie. But I'm going to say... Here's the thing.
Have a bad guy?
We're gonna talk about
a bad guy in the movie?
I know we kept on talking about okay, that's true. I'll admit that. But I know we keep on saying we're gonna get into Marvel movies fully in an episode, but you know, we're kind of sprinkling in here and there. But I wanted to say one thing really quick. That when it comes to movies, I have to admit to everyone who's watching Marvel movies, you gotta know that they're not gonna stop making Marvel movies. Just like they're not stopped making comics. The movies are meant to be kind of like a little bit of a reflection of the comic books, which is why they're appealing. And as I agree, not everything should be, just because something is in a comic doesn't make it cool. So them making a, like Black Panther, a woman or something like that, doesn't make it, any less, I get that. Because a lot of people think like, oh, just because it's in the comics means that it's okay to put it in a movie.
Well, they already take liberties with how the story goes in the comic. Like, they change things, right?
Yeah.
They don't do one-to-one. So if you're going to change things, you can make it good.
But, what I'm saying is that a lot of Marvel fans will say that, will hype up a certain thing in the movie because it's from a comic. And I disagree with the Marvel people like that, because it's like, just because it was in the comics doesn't mean that it's good. I could see that point from people who don't like Marvel stuff, who watch movies and are like, what the heck? But I think when it comes to comic movies, you got to admit that just like the movies, just like the comics are still going to this day, they're still making new Marvel comics. They're still going to make Marvel movies. And you just got to accept that. Like, I have to accept that they're just going to keep on making Star Wars movies. And I do not like Star Wars movies really anymore. But I know that there will probably be good ones still because this is how we got to look at it with Marvel and other genres of this same category that where they're not going to stop. It's like this with the comics. The comics are not always hype, you know? They have downfalls. There's good and there's bad. How we're going to have to look at Marvel movies from now on is just a wave. Because they're not always going to be at the end game level. And everyone's like, where are they going to go from end game? You know? Like, where are they going to go? Like, where are they going to go from end game? Like, dude, they're not going to be able to make the next movie somewhat higher than Endgame. We have to bring it down.
Well, we've been making movies for like 100 years now, and people are still able to make good movies even with the same story, like same tropes in a story that make a good story. So when Marvel tries to go away from that and be like, this is also a good story, even though it's not, and they're trying to be like, well, you should like it because it's Black Panther. I just don't like it.
Okay. Well, I get that. Well, that's why I think, like, not all of them are going to be good, obviously, but I think if we're coming off the high of the height and people go directly into the next movies that are like, and they're expecting it to be somehow like, I just think that's like,
well, that's how I feel.
I'm not going to give you a giant chocolate cake and then serve you up a couple burnt croutons after that and be like, what do you think of that? You know, is it like, it's like, isn't it better?
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense. But that's how I feel about like Shang-Chi and Black Widow. Like they can't be super great because they're off of the better movies. But Black Panther doesn't even go to like the baseline of just being an okay movie. It's actually, or Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It's worse. It's a bad movie aside from anything else, aside from any Marvel movies, any superhero. Like, the story is crappy and it's just not good.
I thought it was long, I will give you that. But I think that them getting into the struggle of how Chadwick Boseman died, like it's so hard. I mean, they needed to make a sequel because they needed to continue the character, and I think that, like, considering that Chadwick Boseman was going to be was going to be a key factor of all the future Marvel movies, especially like the next Black Panther, the sequel, and he died, and they had a choice of replacing him, which everyone would have hated. Like, writing him out of the story, everyone would have hated. Or doing this, I think that it was like pretty fair.
Well, I think they handled that part fine of him
dying in the
movie. Him dying and everything. But they made it, it's like they dishonored him by putting a crappy story with it. Like, it's almost worse because of that.
I do not like how they did. What's his name? Namor?
Yeah, the bad guy who turns out to be actually fine because we all are.
But I think that fight scene was crazy on the beach. Like, he literally, like, I think it would have been crazier if she died. But
yeah, that might have been good because then he'd be a bad guy, right?
Yeah, but you know that he's still a bad guy by the end, right?
But not really.
They had an agreement towards the end of the movie, but at the end he was like, this is how we're going to take over and do it for real, right? Wasn't there like a moment where he talks with one of his younglings, like one of the his peasants, or
I don't remember that part.
at the end of the movie, they were like, what's your plan here? And he, maybe you don't remember this part of the movie. Maybe it was an
Maybe
end
not.
credit scene or something.
No, the end credit scene was
they made him a villain at the end of the movie. He said like, this is how we're gonna take over, or this is like, he has a plan. So I think this is his way of like tricking them, is they think that they're on good terms.
I also didn't like the fake anime Iron Man lady. Smart.
Okay, but
Harvard,
she's
whatever
barely in the
she is.
movie. Riri Williams is barely in the
I
movie.
feel like they take a big portion of that movie for just that one little part.
Yeah, I'll agree. And she doesn't contribute like at all, right? She doesn't do anything. Pretty much.
I don't remember her.
Okay. Well, getting back, we talked a lot about Marvel here, and we were trying to keep to a shorter episode today. But getting to what you have like what's your next one? I wanna know?
So one that.
What do you have? You have Everything Everywhere All at Once. I want to talk about this really quick
Yeah.
because Everything Everywhere All at Once
I feel
got so many. I think it got awards, like won Oscars,
yeah, something like that.
and I just think, along with the whole multiverse theme that's going on with recent movies in the coming years, especially from Marvel movies, I get that we have a little bit too much multiverse going on. I get that. We're kind of squeezing superhero movies and we're squeezing multiverse movies out.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit dry. I get that. I just think that the sounds that they're making,
Oh yeah.
it reminds me of the sounds from I have to say something about this.
I think it's a dog. I think he chases his dog around.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like the sounds from Lethal Company. Remember, like the slugs.
Yeah.
Whoosh, whoosh. That's what it sounds like. Oh, it's intimidating. Anyways, but yeah, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Why? I just think it's overrated.
I think I do too. What do I have it at?
You have it rated at 3 stars. I have it rated
Yeah.
as 1.5.
Okay, well that's pretty low. I think it was overrated because a lot of people thought it was great, like an amazing, groundbreaking movie, and I was like, it's fine, like it's interesting, but
I
the
think
best part is like hot dog fingers and then
I think that made me uncomfortable. I think this is a movie that just made me feel weird. Like you say that you have movies that just make me feel weird. This movie just made me feel weird. And it's because it's A24, right?
oh yeah, it
It's
is.
because it's A24. And
movies are
A24
weird.
makes weird yeah. And I'm trying to watch more A24 movies, but all the ones I feel like I've seen so far are kind of, I think I like one, but I'm not too sure. On top of that, I have a lot listed here that we disagreed on, but
I have one that you have somewhat high, but I think should maybe go a lot higher. And it's Bridge to Terabithia.
really, do I have that? I love that movie.
Well, you have it at 3 stars. And then I watched it recently, and I was like, this movie is amazing.
Okay, JJ, we should stop talking about Bridge to Terabithia because you're just going to convince me how it's an even better of a movie because I actually really like that movie. I'm going to go back and change it. No, what we really need to talk about is... Oh, okay, here's a movie we could disagree on. Why do you dislike Just Friends? You know what movie I'm talking about?
Yeah, because I have it written down right here.
Oh, okay.
I do not like it because I think I just don't like raunchy comedies.
Can't stand, bro. Dude, it's so funny.
I don't
it's a
think
funny
it's
movie.
funny. I think it's just like
It's Ryan Reynolds, and
He's
he's
so
fat for, like
mean.
half the movie.
he's so mean, he's so rude when he's like the rich guy.
Yeah, and that's what's funny is because he grew up to be a
Fat
a
kid.
jerk. Well, for lack of better terms, a jerk, because he was treated a bit poorly when he didn't have a great appearance, and that's the point of the movie.
I don't think I laughed during the movie.
Oh, he's just. There was parts where you laughed. I laughed. The parts where the okay, we don't have to get into it because it is a little bit more of a raunchy comedy, but it's funny because it's a good Christmas movie too. It all takes place during Christmas time, but Ryan Reynolds just kills that role.
I don't think he does.
Okay, I can't believe you do not like Just Friends. Just such a hard. Okay, another thing is that you don't like Astro Boy, and I grew up with that
Boy.
movie.
I don't remember it at all.
You don't remember it at all?
I remember it was weird that it was like a kid robot, and that's probably why I didn't really like it.
Oh, but it's such a fun movie.
But I don't remember.
It's like kind of like I feel like Astro Boy is kind of in the same slot of
Big Hero 6.
No, I was gonna say robots. They're just in that kind of like fantasy,
Yeah.
like kind of metallic. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, I don't remember any of it though.
dude, why did you rate FNAF so low?
I don't even know.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, because I didn't like it.
Dude, I thought we all liked that movie when we went to go see it.
No, I just didn't want to bring down the mood.
Oh my gosh.
I think I
Well,
think
actually, I didn't like the movie.
I probably even like rated it high and then brought it lower later.
Gosh darn it. Wait, why didn't you like that movie? You don't like horror movies, really?
I already don't like horror movies, so that's part of it. But I don't know. It's that same like icky feeling that I get from movies.
Really?
And there were parts of it where I felt like, oh, we're gonna learn something, and then it just turned out to be nothing huge. Also, whenever the kid shows up there and he's playing with all the robots, it's like, oh, I guess he's fine with all the robots now, kind of.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a really big tone shift of like super scary into. I mean, they're all bad while they're playing with it.
Yeah.
Even though they're all pretend, like they all are like they like it, but then
there's underlying meaning. Yeah. Underlying like suspense.
it didn't feel very consistent. I didn't like it.
Bro, I thought that whole like I never played the game too much, but I know that it encapsulated a certain vibe that I knew from the game and watching videos of the game. And so that was like the vibe I kind of went, and that's the grungy felt that's the dark feeling that I was like, okay,
I think I got that in the start of the movie, but then when it got into and he was having the weird dreams, the dreams were interesting, and then they got really creepy.
The dreams were kind of like felt a little too Stranger Things-ish or something. Which
It felt like this movie was going to be grounded in some more real world stuff, and then they're like, "Oh, the robots are possessed by his kids' souls," and that's what the thing was.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the last scene where the big guy walks in. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
With William, what's his name? The guy who
Shaggy?
is the Shaggy guy. He walks in the suit. It's like massive.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a crazy moment. I feel like that moment
definitely.
was just like
I don't think I expected that.
Shoot. That way he walked in, it was like so scary. Cause he like was so big and he like had like such a different like movement to him, and you were like, oh whoa, that was like another moment where I was like, this is crazy. So that's also why I liked it. But
I think I also didn't like the connection with the lady cop, and that being her father.
Yeah, it was just kind of like too much.
Like they were trying too hard or something.
Yeah, that was too much. But I still think it was good. I think it was a good. I'm gonna watch it again this Halloween. That's what I'm gonna do.
I won't.
Okay, well, whatever. JJ, I think that we should. Do you have anything else you desperately need to talk? I have one.
I have
thing
at
feel
least
we should wrap up
one
on.
that we should briefly discuss,
Okay, I have one too.
which is Barbie.
All right, that is the end of today's episode. No.
I feel like
Barbie.
I haven't convinced you of the part of its satire and not feminist propaganda.
Okay. I am all for. I just. It's, disclaimer. Obviously, there's a lot of certain like feminism roles that work really well in movies, so it's nothing directly against that. Just small disclaimer and disclaimer. Okay, this movie's feminist propaganda. This movie is feminist propaganda. It's so forced, and I know after talking with you and I'm seeing that it is a little bit more satire in that way. I still think that Greta Gerwig works it in a certain way that it is still trying to make a point that women have it so much harder than men, and men are just like, it's that kind of point where it's trying to like dehumanize men, and it's not in the point of the movie where they make the whole like dojo casa house.
Mhm.
That's funny. Like all that I totally get is satire and good jokes. But I think it's the speech that she makes, and it's the speech that the mom makes to the weird Barbies or something.
Yeah.
About what really women are and what they do, and it's most of it is true in like the way that we all should look at how women are strong and like they do deal with a lot. But
I think that speech is the one downside of the movie. If that speech wasn't in it, then I
think it would be 4 stars, or easy or higher.
Oh, so that one speech is mainly.
I think it lowers it a lot, but
because if that speech wasn't in there, I'd be like, this is a movie against feminism.
Because I see the satire part of it, but I think that part, and amongst some other things sprinkled in, makes it not satire. It makes it kind of like, this is the point we're trying to make, that, it makes it a little bit like
kind of a downer,
kind of real in the way that it makes it real in the way that this is what some women think, and it's like too much, But if it wasn't in it, and I would say, man, this does really feel like she has a good way of processing satire through kind of light, real world.
Because we can agree that the movie is like, the comedy part of it is fun.
Yeah.
The bright colors are fun.
Yeah.
The music
How
is pretty
it's all
fun.
shot in, yeah.
The jokes are pretty funny.
Yeah.
So the part that, like, really the only part is that one speech, dude.
Yeah.
Because I can agree, the only part in that movie I disliked and would completely change is that speech, because it feels forced.
Maybe.
It feels like it doesn't belong there. It feels like they are trying to make a point.
Yeah.
Without, by just saying like exposition. They're like, oh, and almost like when you're watching those like medicine commercials, they're like, oh, this thing's great, and then like, disclaimer, blah blah blah, it might kill you and stuff like that. I feel like they threw that in and it was really unnatural.
Yeah. That's true.
But I think the ending of it redeems it all. And
because she goes to her appointment.
Yeah, they go to like what it actually means to be a woman.
And then she does meet the owner of Barbie, right? Or like the maker of Barbie, right? Doesn't she talk in that
Yeah.
dream thing? She talks to like the maker of Barbie.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of that.
That was kind of weird. I mean, that felt like it was supposed to touch on a sentimental part that I didn't really get. Maybe because I didn't
No,
own
but
Barbies.
yeah, but the other part with the Billie Eilish song, whatever that part is, feels like I think that's at the end, right? Or is
Yeah.
that during the?
Which I like that song. But what were you gonna say about it?
Well, it goes through like the life of someone. It shows family and kids and all that,
Yeah.
and it shows moms being moms. It shows what it like.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, it's true. It's true.
I think it redeems the whole movie,
I think
even the bad
that
speech.
also they had what was it? Oh, I was gonna say make the point that maybe throw out the idea maybe there was a another male figure in the movie that was along for the ride that was from the real world, but that would be forcing. I get that they would not want that, and they already have a lot of Ryan Gosling, and they would not want any more men in the movie. But
Male
I do think that
toxicity.
the point that Will Ferrell and all that board was still kind of like bad. Like they didn't have any like real world people, right? In that real world men in that movie that had like common sense and acknowledgement of. They kind of just paid off of Ken realizing how the world was. Even still, he was like brainless male, you know.
Mhm.
So I just think that maybe if they had like another male character, like maybe the little girl had a best friend that was like that showed a little bit more that then it would be a little bit more supported of the fact of maybe it wasn't just all, you know, like it just felt like they did kind of center.
Yeah, but I think that's fine because we don't need a movie to say that everything is to say all the good things. Like we can see this movie as good for what it's saying. Like I think the things that they say about females, they kind of get it right. The movie's
Right.
not made for
it's not
for dudes to be like this is how you should be.
right. Well,
Why would you make a Barbie movie?
I guess
about that?
our more disagreement is where it gets into propaganda. That's what we're really talking about more than what would have made the movie better. We're mostly talking about like what the propaganda part was, which, yeah. So, I love the soundtrack though. There's a lot of things I like about it. I just don't think I can like it just yet. Maybe in time, maybe it needs to set in, but I just think also the time frame that we're in, maybe if times change,
Then it would get
but
better.
just in this current demographic, like how that movie came out, it's just a little bit too specific. And that's how
I
I
guess
get
I can see that. But
one more thing that I feel like we should talk about is it's honestly less about our disagreement of movies specifically. It's just going to be talking about what our thoughts on this director is, because a lot of his movies.
is
and
it
it's going to be
Wes Anderson?
Wes Anderson because you've seen all of his movies. I yet to see a couple of them that you really like. So I know there's going to be ones I might like a little bit more. But two I have written down here, you have rated super high that I've rated super low. And it's Asteroid City, obviously, because I do not like that movie. And then it is Darjeeling Limited.
I think it's just Darjeeling.
Darjeeling
Maybe.
Darjeeling Limited. I have Asteroid City rated at half star.
Yeah.
You have Asteroid City rated at 3. You have Darjeeling Unlimited rated at 3. Darjeeling Limited. Oh my gosh, we're never gonna get it right.
The train one.
The train one. You have the train one rated at 3.5 stars. I have it rated at.
Half a star?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have both those movies rated at 1.5. So better than a half star, but 1.5, because both those movies are equally just kind of meh to me. I think I like Darjeeling Limited a little bit better.
Has there been any that you liked so far, Wes Anderson
Yes.
movies? Which one was that?
Fantastic Mr. Fox, obviously.
Okay.
I remember liking Grand Budapest Hotel, and that's because you got me started on that one. That's the first
Mhm.
one I ever watched, was Grand Budapest Hotel. Because you were like, "Oh, you should check this out."
Yeah,
And
I think it
weird
was
for
probably
me.
the first one I watched too.
And it was weird for me because it was so different. Because it's Wes Anderson.
Yeah,
was
but
the
it
first
is.
one I was like, and I didn't know how to feel about it. But then I liked it.
So hold on, I'm gonna look up the name of this movie because I feel like I could say it right if I saw what it looked like. The train one.
Darjeeling Unlimited. Darjeeling Limited. DARJ.
Is it Ling? I don't remember the Ling part.
LING. Yeah.
That one I liked because of the short story that they added to it. That was cool.
The hotel,
Yeah, which I didn't like.
which we watched that, and
I think I
do
just
not
liked
watch
the
that.
concept of making short films that actually connect to the
Movies?
movie rather
But
than.
Quentin Tarantino does that as well,
He's
right?
also a good director.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like, other people do that. I don't know. Yeah, it did make it a little bit better, but I mean, it's just, it's a weird story, and it's just an uncomfortable story, and you're just wondering why are these characters here, and a lot of his characters just kind of lack emotion, and I know that's kind of his point, but I still feel like story-driven wise, he just
I think I liked
doesn't answer the.
in the train one. I liked the brothers. I liked the relationship they had, where it was like they kind of all hate each other, but they still all love each other.
Yeah.
That felt pretty accurate and relatable.
Yeah, the secrets that they told each other not to tell each other,
Yeah.
and they end up like all telling each other
Yeah.
anyways.
I liked all of that. I mean, the rest of it just feels like a Wes Anderson movie with symmetrical shots and bright colors and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I get that. I think also, what was I going to say? With Asteroid City, I think one part I liked about Asteroid City was his use of claymation
Oh yeah,
and how he like made the alien all from claymation, and that was very
and they composite
Cool.
that into like the live action shot, right? Too, or is it on a separate?
yeah. They
Okay.
like it flips to them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like there's humans there and the claymation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't
like
even
that too.
remember. It might even be a whip pan. I don't think it's a whip pan, but it might just be like a cut. But it does look like they're there with it, and how it picks up everything, and yeah, that felt kind of. But I just the story, like the whole part with Scarlett Johansson
Yeah, that was weird.
and through the windows, it's just like, what are you trying to say? Like, it just feels so monotone all the time, and I know that sometimes it's their style, but I just don't like it. But I know that there's some other good ones. You like Bottle Rocket, and I've yet to watch that one.
Yeah, I made a whole list of places like scenes that they shot in Bottle Rocket because a lot of it's in Texas.
Really?
So there's like some Dallas locations that we could go to,
Dang, that's cool.
and the buildings like still there and stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, but Wes Anderson. I mean,
I
need
think
to
it is a
finish
style
it.
thing. I think it's just a style that you don't really like, and that I find more
I like
interesting.
some of
maybe.
it. I like some of it. It plays. I mean, I think I'm gonna like his claymation ones a little bit more because it just fits better. Like his Fantastic Mr. Fox is good. Yeah, but I don't know. We'll get to it when I watch more of his stuff. But on top of that, did we have anything else we were gonna say?
I don't think so. I think we
Um,
can end on that one.
I know that we are also going to try to. We also have some other guests we are trying to work into. We have some guests lined up for the next 2 weeks or so. we're trying to work on our scheduling. We've kind of been putting out some of our episodes a little later than we've been trying to.
Maybe.
So, you
But
probably
it's
been seeing our
'cause we
posts
only
being like
put
coming
out-
soon. But it's been coming really soon. It's been coming soon for like a long time.
It's because we only put out quality content.
It's because we really want to make sure
It gets
that you
backed
guys
up
get
in the quality control department.
Yeah.
They keep sending it back to us saying, fix this, fix this.
Yeah, it does.
So we got to put out
It's
the
just
best
you,
content.
JJ. It's just you saying fix this, fix this. I think that we're so basically our system right now, we can say, is that we're trying to record on Tuesdays and put out the following Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's our kind of goal. We're trying to.
Every
I'm
other
gonna say
week.
that because I think that we should try to be a little bit more consistent. Not that either of us is inconsistent, but our goal. We do a
Very
pretty good.
consistent.
We do a pretty good job so far, but we're just starting out. We're trying to get a little bit better about it, but yeah. So we're trying to sprinkle in maybe some other projects that we're gonna try to work on, but we are cooking. We are cooking here, and the next time we have guests,
Probably. If all goes
hopefully,
well.
If all goes well. But yeah, that ends today's episode. JJ is gonna go change all of his answers and have a little bit better taste next time. But we'll be ready for the next one.
Yep. See ya in 2 weeks.